In today's video, I'll be giving you my final word on the Pioneer VSX-LX505 AV receiver. We're going to check it out right after the jump. And I am back. What is going on, Techno fam? Hope you're doing well. And before we begin, I want to give a shout out and thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I had to purchase this AV receiver, which costs around $1,500. So you patrons, you guys made it happen. So I know it seems like a small contribution, but it actually helps the channel in such a big way. And if you would like to help out the channel and help me make videos just like this one, make sure you become a patron today. Link is down below in the description. And as for stock issues, as the filming of this video is going on right now, Best Buy has stock of the LX505, and so does B&H Photo, oddly enough. But going to their page, it looks kind of weird because there's no picture, but it says in stock. So links are in the description if you are looking to buy this receiver, so make sure you check it out. And if you are looking for more like in-depth overview and functions and setup for 4K 120, setup for eARC, I've already made videos about that, and I'll link that down below and maybe with the card up top as well. And I know a lot of you are wondering, well, how is this LX505 different than the Onkyo RZ50? As you guys know, Pioneer is owned by Onkyo, and they have all these brand new receivers that came out, Pioneer, Onkyo, and Integra. The Integra one, though, is a little bit more expensive for the comparable one. I believe that the Onkyo RZ50 is $13.99 and this LX505 is $14.99. So yeah, $100 difference, and I will get into the differences in just a bit. Okay, so let's talk about the good parts about this AVR. First and foremost is Dirac Live room correction. This auto room correction, hands down, is the best on the market. Now, what's interesting is that Pioneer was able to bring Dirac to a lower level. They were able to lower the barrier of entry because the previous AV receiver, I think, was the NAD-T778, which came in at $3,000. So pretty much double the price. And then onward and upward of that, I've got the Arcam AVR 11 down here. It is also over $3,000 Dirac Live. So coming in at half the price, that's pretty good. That's definitely a great value proposition here, just in having Dirac Live room correction at a $1,500 price point. Now, I'm not sure what Dirac is doing with their room correction to make it so good, but I do know that it sounds great upstairs, which my upstairs is a really wonky shaped room, and it in here in the studio, it sounds great as well. So no matter, you know, what type of room you have, they've got a setup that's tailored for that room. For instance, when you use either the Pioneer app or the Dirac app on your phone, you'll be able to do a 3-position or a 9-position measurement. Now, down here in the studio, there's only one chair. So do I need to do a 9-position measurement? Probably not. So I did a 3-position measurement, and that was pretty awesome. Upstairs, I did a 9-position measurement. Now, if you go to the desktop or laptop app for Dirac Live, you can also get a 13 measurement setup. So basically what you can do is you can measure based on the size of your room. So if you got a small room, you can go 3 or 9. If you got a medium-sized room, I would say 9. If you got a large size, like big sweet spot, big couch kind of thing, then yeah, you might want to try 13. So it's great to have all those options. So the big question is, how does it sound? Now, I have the LX505 in here now, and I also had it upstairs. Upstairs, we've got 4,300 cubic foot room. We've got an odd shaped, speakers are not in the optimal position or place. Here in the studio, however, is a different story, 1,140 cubic feet, and all 11 speakers are identical, and they are in the optimal space or place. So with that being said, anything Dolby Atmos, DTS-X, and IMAX Enhanced, any of those encoded immersive audio formats, this AVR is stellar. Stellar. 100% this AVR punches higher than its weight class, higher than its, barrier of entry or $1,500 price point. So thoroughly impressed with that. I've said this before on the channel, I'll say it again. Your home theater experience is going to not solely, but pretty much like 95% depend on your room correction and how good of a job it is doing. And I think this is much better than the auto room corrections from folks like Denon, Marantz, and Yamaha. So let's get into what I didn't like about this receiver now. And one of the things I'm really missing is Oro 3D, and mainly the Oro 3D upmixer, which I'm used to with the Denon or the Marantz Pre-Pro that I have upstairs now. And the reason is when you're watching, you know, like Hulu or any kind of TV show, we have a Direct TV box still. I know, I feel like such a dinosaur, right? So Direct TV box, you know, 5.1, sometimes just 2.0, meaning just stereo. And what do you do with that as far as your AV receiver is concerned for getting the best sound out of it while you're watching those TV shows? I went through and did a few binaural recordings here with, you know, Grey's Anatomy's TV show, but it's watched through Hulu, and I made sure that on the Xbox wasn't upscaling or upmixing it to Atmos, because the Xbox still kind of has that bug. So I made sure the Xbox was set to 5.1 uncompressed, and it was sending out the PCM signal, which is totally fine. And I did find out a couple of things were good. You know, PCM Direct was pretty good. It keeps it at 5.1. And then Dolby Audio, Dolby Surround, you know, tries to incorporate all the speakers, all the 7.1.4 in this setup. That sounded good. The Neural X, didn't really do it for me. So when you get this, or if you get this, I think the biggest challenge is going to be content that isn't encoded in Atmos, DTS:X, or IMAX Enhanced. However, if you get a movie, 4K Blu-ray, or whatever, you're streaming something, it's probably going to sound pretty good. Okay, so there's another issue with the LX505 that I know a lot of people are struggling with, and that is the ability to change crossovers on your speakers independently. Currently, you can only change the crossover points globally on all the speakers that are selected as small. So that means you have to change the crossover on all the speakers at once. Your options are 50 Hertz, 80 Hertz, 100 Hertz, 150 Hertz, and 200 Hertz. So why is this a big deal? Well, in this room, I've got 11 speakers that are completely identical, and you know, they start rolling off, I think, around 90 Hertz. So if I set it to 80, I'm done. Now upstairs is a different story. I have bookshelves that'll go down to 50, and my height channels will go down to 80. So here's where we could possibly have an issue. Of course, for me, not a big issue. Set it to 80, done, good to go. Now, when we're talking about something smaller, like let's say your height channels go down to 100 Hertz or go down to 120. Let's say they're pretty small, compact, and that's all you can, you know, work with or were able to get for your space. Well, then you have an issue, because you want to have 80 Hertz for your main ear level speakers and then like 110, 120 for your high channels. So I can see how that is an issue for some. Is it a deal breaker for everybody? I don't think so. Again, it depends on what speakers you have. Now, this is one of the things that sets the LX505 apart from the Onkyo RZ50. With the RZ50, you are able to change the crossovers independently of the other speakers. So it's not just a global change, it can be done per speaker. So that is pretty huge. So, you know, for those of you that have one, I was not able to get my hands on an RZ50, and that really is the big problem. They are just sold out. Sometimes they get in and there's like 3 of them in Amazon, then it's sold out the next day. So this is what I've heard from owners of the RZ50, and that is you can change the crossover frequencies independently. I don't know how flexible it is, but that's what I've been told. I wish I had one in to review, but that's not the case. Couldn't get my hands on one, so here we are. Now, the next thing I really dislike about the LX505 is more of a nuisance, more of a annoyance, I guess you could call it. And sometimes when you press the home button, which gets you to the system setup, and then, you know, you can, you know, mess around with your speaker configuration and all that kind of stuff. When you press the button, it just says, please wait, ... and then nothing happens. I have sat there while it's been there on the screen for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, okay, this is not coming on. So one of my viewers said that the easiest way to, you know, fix the situation is to turn it off, unplug it, leave it unplugged for like 30 seconds, a minute, plug it back in and turn it on. And then when you hit the home button, then it works. You get the system setup menu and all that kind of stuff. But I'm totally getting like Vizio OLED TV vibes with this. Like, really? Is it 2022 and we're still like, we're having to do this nonsense? I mean, come on. I think that is something that should easily be fixed by Pioneer, if Pioneer actually knows about the situation. Somebody from Pioneer emailed me about it, and then I emailed them back, but I never got a response. But I did tell them that I was able to, fix the situation by, power cycling it with a hard reset or whatever you want to call it. So it's more of an annoyance / nuisance than it is like a big problem. Once you've done your room calibration and you set up your room and, set up eARC, set up 4K 120, set up all that stuff, you don't really have to keep going into that menu. But if you do like to mess around and try things out, it could be, like I said, a nuisance. All right, let's talk about gaming. And I know I should have put this section in the what I like, because this is probably one of the best parts about this AV receiver. If you're looking for an AV receiver that can handle next gen consoles, you definitely need to look at the LX505. Okay, I put a video up on how to set up eARC and how to set up 4K 120. So make sure you check out the links if you have this AVR and you need to set those things up. Literally, this is the best part about this AV receiver, and I've got it connected up here to a PS5 and Xbox Series X. I do need to find like an RTX 3080 graphics card and maybe a new computer or something like that to at least test it. So I know that all the HDMI 2.1 bugs that were happening with AV receivers were mainly around the Xbox Series X, so at least we know that that works. And this is the best thing for sure, 100%. We get 4K 120 HDR VRR, which, hi Yamaha, still lagging behind on a $3,000 unit. Come on. Not only that, we have 3 ports. Okay, it's the BD DVD, game, and cable satellite. Those are the 3 ports that are 40 gigabit per second bandwidth and able to run your 4K consoles. Now, I don't know why they would label it cable satellite, because why would you put cable satellite? I don't know. HDMI ports 4, 5, and 6 are 24 gigabits per second, which I would put all my other 4K devices, like if you had an Apple TV, NVIDIA Shield, those types of things that don't need 4K 120, then I would put them on those HDMI inputs. Now, the Pioneer has been living here in my gaming cave for quite some time now, and wow, Dolby Atmos in Call of Duty, even in the multiplayer, is just insane. If you guys have upgraded to Dolby Atmos and you've been looking for movies and you're like, man, there's only a handful of movies where the Atmos is really good, yeah, try a video game. Because, with Atmos mixing for movies, you have to rely on the studio to pay somebody and give them enough time to master and mix the Atmos track. But in a video game, the console knows where all the, sounds are, and then it just sends that information to the AVR, and no matter what's happening, things flying overhead and dropping a bomb here, and then you suddenly turn right, everything moves around as if you were in that space. Immersion level 1,000, for real. One of the coolest things I've got going on here. And I'm really I got a lot of weddings to DJ. I DJ'd 3 weddings last weekend, got to DJ another 3 this weekend, and I'm just trying to find an hour where I could just come in here and just play. And even if it's on the crappiest map that I hate, it's just unlucky in certain times, but man, the gaming experience on this AVR is fantastic. Dirac Live really does a fantastic job, and with Dolby Atmos from the console, it's definitely something to experience, and it is fantastic. Little note on the PS5, yeah, still no Dolby Atmos gaming with the PS5. So all you PlayStation owners out there, proud PlayStation owners, man, I don't know what you guys do. It just guys upmix it, maybe Neural X, maybe Dolby Surround, I don't know. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I did make a binaural recording of some footage playing Call of Duty, and I put it at the end of my Gaming Cave tour video, so I'll link that video and put a card up top as well. You're gonna need some good headphones, but you can see it, or you can hear like all this crazy stuff happening around me spatially. It's pretty sweet, so definitely check that out. Now let's get into expandability. This AVR processes 11 channels but only powers 9 channels. So out of the box, you can run a 5.1.4 Dolby Atmos setup or a 7.1.2. Now to get the other 2 channels, you definitely will need an external amplifier. Now when you look at an AVR like the Denon X3700H, which is about $100 more than the Pioneer 505, you have a little bit more flexibility. When you want to go to 11 channels, with the Pioneer, you have to power your surround back with the external amplifier. Like there's no switching around. Like it's just, I guess, hardwired that way. And that's just what you have to do. With the Denon, you can actually change that from either the rear height or the front mains, right? Your front left and right, or your rear heights. And that's the decision you have with that receiver, because it also processes 11 channels, but only powers 9. So in that aspect, if you were buying a big amplifier, you could power your front main, your front left and right, which is probably going to be better than powering your rear heights or your surround backs. In which case, for the Pioneer, you would want to get a small amplifier. Like, you know, they have these little Class D desktop amplifiers, 2 channels, $80 on Amazon. That's probably more than enough. Now, if you wanted to fully, you know, do 11 channels all off external amplification, you can totally do that. So there you go. You have some options, but you don't have so much flexibility in the setup with the 505. The Pioneer LX505 has a lot of great features with mid-tier pricing. AVRs in this price range are the Onkyo RZ50 for $100 less, and the Denon X3700, which is $100 more. Of course, you'll have the option to change crossovers independently on both the Denon and the Onkyo, which you don't on the Pioneer. However, the Denon only has the one 4K 120 port, whereas the Pioneer and the Onkyo have 3. So that's just kind of up to you on which one you want to get. But I would say that the Pioneer 505 is definitely the right receiver for a lot of you out there. Sure, you can't change crossovers, you know, and tweak to your heart's content. Yeah, but a lot of you don't need that. Dirac room correction really is the icing on the cake. And I'm very, very thankful that Onkyo Pioneer went ahead and did this, because, you know, I think a lot of AVR manufacturers really just hold on tight, you know, to their proprietary software room correction like YPow and Odyssey. And honestly, you know, big ups to Pioneer and Onkyo for putting Dirac Live into a receiver that is under $2,000. Like that gets a round of applause. That is a huge thing. That is going to take people's setups like very, very far. And this is definitely a great upgrade if you've been looking to go from a 7-channel, like a 2-height channel Atmos receiver, to one that can handle 4 height channels. Definitely check out the Pioneer VSX-LX505. Well, that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Me.